So, what if a piece of art could really move you, make you feel something deep, something human, but it wasn't made by a human at all? We're about to dive into a poem that does exactly that, and it kind of forces us to ask some big questions about what creativity even is. But first, let's just experience it.
Before we get into the who, what, or how, I just want you to listen. Forget all the context for a second and just let the words sink in. In shadows cast by tender dreams, where whispered hopes can hurriedly flow, I trace the lines of silent schemes, yet find my heart too weak to show.
I watch you dance beneath the stars. Each twirl ignites a painful flare. My soul, it aches from silent wars, for love unnamed is hard to bear.
So here I stand, a shadowed truth. In dreams I weave what cannot be. But though my heart maintains its youth, my soul shall dwell in memory.
Wow, it's pretty powerful, isn't it? You can almost feel that ache, the silent wars, that whole idea of being a shadowed truth. It feels like a totally authentic, gut-wrenching take on unrequited love, right? And it was published by a poet named Denis Martindale. But here's the thing. That's not the whole story. Okay, so let's pull back the curtain a little bit, because how this poem was created is, believe it or not, even more interesting than the poem itself. I want you to just think back for a second. How did that poem make you feel? That longing, that pain. It feels pretty human, right? Okay, hold on to that feeling. And think about this. Who do you think actually wrote those words? Well, the author wasn't a poet sitting in a lonely room, pouring out their soul. Nope. The author was an artificial intelligence, just processing a command. Yeah, you heard that right. Every single word, every line, all of that emotion you might have felt, it was all put together by an AI. The guy who published it, Denis Martindale, he later revealed that he gave the AI the prompt, but he didn't write the stanzas himself. So let me ask you, does knowing that change how you feel about the poem? Now, this wasn't some bolt of lightning, some spontaneous moment of machine creativity. It was the result of a very specific human-led process. So how in the world does an AI even write a poem? The whole thing is surprisingly straightforward. You can think of it as a simple 3-step recipe. First, a human has to make a request, a very specific one. Then, the AI analyzes that request and scans a gigantic library of text to understand it. And finally, it starts generating a new piece of writing, putting words together based on all the patterns it just learned. And this is the perfect illustration of that process. This is the exact prompt Denis Martindale fed to the machine. See how specific that is? He didn't just say, write a sad poem. No, it was much more pointed. Tackle this theme, unrequited love. And more importantly, do it in the specific style of this particular poet. And this right here gets to the heart of it. These AI tools, they aren't feeling anything. They are master mimics. Think of it like a musician who can play any song perfectly after hearing it once, but can't compose their own music. The AI has sifted through millions of poems and stories and learned the statistical probability of which words should come next to create the feeling of sadness or love. So, all of this technical stuff raises a much, much bigger question, a more philosophical one. If an AI can create a poem that feels this human, what's left for the human poet to do? This is the exact question Denis Martindale wanted everyone to wrestle with. It's really the core of this whole debate. I mean, if the final product is so good you can't tell the difference, does it still matter where it came from? Does the source of the creativity matter anymore? Let's break down the key differences, because they're pretty important. The AI is working from data and patterns. The human poet, they're working from their own lived experience. The AI's whole purpose is to just fulfill a prompt, to complete a task. A human's intent is usually self-expression. And maybe this is the most crucial part. The AI mimics emotion, but the human poet actually feels it. The poem comes from their silent wars, not a database of them. So where does all this leave us? Is this a threat to human creativity? Or is it maybe the beginning of a totally new kind of collaboration? A lot of people are starting to see AI not as an enemy, but as this fascinating new tool. A partner that can help us explore new ideas, learn from different styles, and maybe even push the boundaries of what we thought art could be. It definitely forces us to think hard about what we truly value in a piece of creative work. So the bottom line is this. We're walking into a time where who or what the author is, it's complicated. The source of creativity isn't always going to be a single human mind. And figuring out how to navigate this new world, well, that's one of the most interesting creative challenges we have right now.
Which brings us right back to where we started. Think about that poem one more time. The words on the page are exactly the same, but now you know an AI wrote it. Does that change its beauty for you? Does it steal some of its power? Does knowing who the author is, or what the author is, change the art itself? That's a question with no easy answer.